Now we look at how to manage a ventilated patients. These are the most sick patients in the ICU, not just the lung, but they may have multi-organ failure, they may have a lot of nursing requirements, medical requirements, and it is important to put everything in place with emphasis on certain parameters which may improve outcomes in these patients. One is to identify and manage the pain, the agitation and delirium, use of sedation scores, the delirium score and the pain score to find out their presence and to seek a target to which you should take your patient to, identify the drugs which are there in the prescription, use them judiciously, maximum effect with minimum dosage. Troubleshooting the ventilators, you need to know what settings are the patients on, why there is an alarm, finding the root cause and correcting it so that you see the patients and the ventilators are well synchronized on the ventilator. The one important aspect which comes is of suctioning. We need to know that it is only to clear secretions. It should not be a routine which has to be followed. And the reason is, whenever you try to suction, there is a chance that you can introduce infection. Your patient is on positive pressure ventilation and suctioning is a negative pressure phenomena. This can cause loss of PEEP, FiO2 pressures, and in patients with severe ARDS on extremes of settings, this can really derange their physiology. It is one of the most important precipitants of cough and agitation in a patient who are otherwise quiet. So this should be kept to minimum. And the reason you need to suction is because there is a lot of secretion which you think is causing higher airway pressures or causing obstruction or is coming repeatedly in the tube. And when you do a suctioning, try to note the amount and the quality. The quality because a purulent secretion may be the indicator of the presence of an infection, and amount to tell you how frequently do you need to suction the patient, but keep it to bare minimum. Nebulization, also like suction, can cause derangements in the ventilator. Keep them to minimum. These are prescriptions which are made by doctor, but you can always ask them if a particular nebulization is essential and find out if during the process of nebulization there is some derangement in the ventilatory settings. Oral care is very difficult to give with the presence of an ET tube, and oral care is equally essential because it is one of the strategies to decrease the incidence of ventilator associated pneumonia. So you need to make sure that you are able to give adequate care, and if you are not, to escalate your concerns to someone that I am not able to do it, please help me or assist me. You should at least make that escalation at the right time. Prevention of sores, because these patients may not be able to move by themselves. When you try to move them, there could be agitation, there could be restlessness, and at the same time, if you do not change the position, they have higher incidence of pressure sores. Not only sores because of the pressures on body parts, but also because of the sores due to the ET tube on the corners of the mouth or on the lips, because of the sores produced by Rice tube or by other drains in place. We need to see that these do not happen. Check the cuff pressure of the ET tube or the tracheostomy tube frequently. You can have a protocol of maybe checking it every shift. Whenever you intubate or reintubate, change the position of the ET tube, just see how it is placed to the carina. So you just need to look at the post-intubation x-rays of the patient and identify the position of the tube in relation to the carina. It should be at least more than an inch above the carina. Keep the head end elevated. This is generally the rule, 30 to 45 degrees. This is said to prevent the incidence of aspiration pneumonia. Feed the patients well. Know that when we have to withhold fluids, what are the protocols in place, what to do when there is hypotension or escalation of inotropes. Sugar should be well controlled. Most of us will have a protocol in place about how to use your insulin, which is the general drug used to control sugars. IV, subcutaneous, when to change over from subcutaneous to IV. All this should be very, very clearly laid out in your mind. When the patients are on an arterial line or when the patients are in shock, you have the option of using the arterial sample to check the sugars on the glucometer. Closely monitor the hemodynamics, because these are the likely patients who will be hypotensive, oliguric, may have underlying multi-organ failure, and it is important to see that the hemodynamics are well managed, that you are able to look at all these parameters. Sometimes the hemodynamics may be deranged by the ventilatory settings. You just need to identify and see that all of this is optimized. This is probably not most of it, but if we can take care all of this comprehensively, we are going to improve the outcomes of patients who are on ventilation.